Next, I want to try some other easing examples. So let's clear things out of the way. I'll just double click on my motion editor panel here to collapse that. And my timeline's down here at the end. Let's create another layer and bring out another basketball that we can animate. I've already got my basketball layer selected, so I'll just click the new layer icon and we'll call this one basketball 2. I'll just press enter, and then let's go over to our library and let's drag out another copy of the basketball. Now I'm going to want this basketball to be bouncing after the first one, so I'm just going to grab that entire layer here that we've created, and I'm just going to drag it over so that our new basketball won't come in until the last one's finished bouncing off the stage. Now let me just move my timeline down here so we can work on it. We've got a movie clip. It's the same one we were using the last time, and it's in a layer by itself, so we're ready to create a motion tween. Now I'm just going to set up a basic motion tween by right-clicking on it and then choosing Create Motion Tween at the top. This time I'm going to have my motion start at the very beginning with the ball on the ground, and I'm going to animate it moving up into the air as we go forward in the animation in time. I'll put my playhead at the end and just drag the ball upwards. And we have a very simple levitating ball. We can use our motion editor on any motion tween, so let's take a look at what it shows us for this animation. Now once again, I want a little bit more room, so I'm going to collapse the timeline here for a moment, and I can bring my motion editor panel up a little bit more. Once again, we can see that the ball's just moving in a straight line up and down because my X value is not changing at all, and I see the change in the Y value. We can also see that no easing has been applied to anything in here. But we do have that simple slow ease set at 0, matching our ease in the property panel. What's really fun with eases is simple slow is just the beginning of the story. We actually have a whole bunch of different eases to choose from. To create one, we need to go over to the plus menu here, pull it down, and you can see we can choose from all kinds of things, starting with simple slow at the top, and then we just have some basic speed changes. These are pretty cool if you want something that's kind of like the simple slow animation, but a little bit more faster and dramatic. Now notice below that we have stop and start animations. Our simple easings give us a speed change either at the beginning or the end of the animation. Remember, in and out. But a stop and start easing will actually give you both. It'll give you a speed up at the beginning and a slow down at the end. And we have some speeds to choose from for that as well. They really get fun when we start seeing bounce, and that's the one I want to try. We'll click on it, and a new easing is added to our motion editor. And you'll notice in the pull-down menus that we can now choose simple slow and our new bounce object. I don't want to set it down here on scale. I'm going to go up to that Y value, and I'm going to set bounce as the easing just for the Y property. And we can click on our new easing and expand out the window, and we can see exactly what shape of curve we're adding. Now I haven't adjusted my frames to match the animation. Let me take a quick look at our timeline here. Our animation is about 60 frames long this time, and when I open the motion editor panel back up, we're only seeing 30, so I'm going to increase that up to 60, and that way we can see the entire motion path. The bounce easing looks radically different from the simple easing, and we can clearly see the bouncing of the object as it moves down the path. Let's take a look at what the graph is showing us. The numbers inside the easings are percentages. We start at 0 and we cap out at 100% at the top. And what they're talking about a percentage of is of the animation. Now remember, we had a simple animation of our ball starting at the ground level, and as the animation proceeds, the Y value slowly gets lower and lower until it reaches almost the top of the screen. Now remember, Y values go down as the object moves up. So for our animation, a 0% would be the start of the animation, or the ball on the floor, and 100% would be the normal finish of the animation where the ball is hanging up in the air, so to speak. Now when we look at a normal simple curve, we progress from the beginning of the animation to 100% at the end. And the only thing we're really doing is changing the speed at which the object moves from start to finish. With something like our bounce easing curve, we're completely changing things around. Now if we think about 0 and 100 as the beginning and end of our animation, we can see that what happens here is that our ball moves towards the end of the animation very quickly and then actually backs up and goes towards the beginning of the animation. Then it does it again, but it doesn't go quite as far this time, and you can see it's bouncing smaller and smaller at each interval. The dotted line is always the combination of the solid line curve plus the easing curve that you've set on it using the easing panel. So let's click over here in Y and expand that out, and we can see that our object is going to bounce towards the top of the screen very quickly, then go back down towards the floor, and continue as the curve bounces along. Now we've got a pretty good feel from the graph of what should be happening. Let's close our motion editor and see if that's actually what happens on the stage. I'll move my playhead to the beginning and we can see the ball is on the floor. And very quickly the ball moves right up to the complete top of the animation and then back down. And as we move the playhead further, we can see that the ball just bounces along, getting slower and slower each time, just like the shape of the bounce easing curve. Now let's do a quick test movie so we can see how this runs at full speed. I'm just going to go over to Control and choose our test movie. We can see our first bounce pass, and then we can see multiple bounces of that basketball in the second animation. Now let me close this preview up. Now remember that our original animation was just two keyframes, one with the ball on the ground and one with the ball in the air. Our simple animation was just the ball moving up over 60 frames. And all of this bouncing animation is actually coming from the easing control completely. I'll open up the motion editor, and we can take a look again at the other types of curves you can use. All I have to do is click plus and just choose an easing, and I can start off with those values. Notice down here at the bottom, we even have a custom curve, and you can just use the pen or vector tools and draw the curve yourself. So we really do have a lot of extra controls built right into our motion editor.